In 1925, Werner Heisenberg made a discovery that shattered the foundations of physics. His uncertainty principle revealed that the act of observation changes what's being observed. The observer and the observed are not separate. Consciousness plays a role in determining reality. The scientific establishment was horrified. Einstein himself rejected it, famously declaring, "God does not play dice with the universe." But here's what almost nobody mentions. A text published 17 years earlier, in 1908, had already described this principle, not as groundbreaking discovery, but as ancient knowledge being transmitted from a 5,000-year-old tradition. That text was the Kybalion, and its first principle states, "The all is mind, the universe is mental." This isn't coincidence, and it's not just one principle. All 7 Hermetic laws described in the Kybalion have direct parallels in modern quantum physics, consciousness studies, and systems theory. The principle of vibration predicted wave-particle duality. The principle of correspondence predicted fractal geometry and holographic models. The principle of mentalism predicted the observer effect. The principle of polarity predicted complementarity. Physicists dismissed these teachings as mystical nonsense for decades. Then, as quantum mechanics matured and consciousness studies progressed, something extraordinary happened. Scientists started secretly studying Hermetic philosophy. Wolfgang Pauli, one of the pioneers of quantum mechanics, collected alchemical texts and worked with Carl Jung to bridge physics and mysticism. David Bohm, protege of Einstein and creator of the holographic universe model, explicitly incorporated Hermetic principles into his theories. Erwin Schrödinger, whose equation describes quantum states, studied Vedantic philosophy, which shares core principles with Hermeticism. Why? Because when you go deep enough into quantum physics, you encounter the same metaphysical questions the ancient mystics grappled with. What is consciousness? What is reality? How do mind and matter relate? Is the universe fundamentally physical or mental? And the answers quantum physics keep finding look suspiciously like what Hermes Trismegistus taught 5,000 years ago. Today, we're examining the Kybalion's 7 principles through the lens of modern science and revealing how ancient wisdom and cutting-edge physics are converging on the same revolutionary truth. The universe is not what we thought it was, and the ancients knew it all along. Before we dive into the science, we need to address the elephant in the room. The Kybalion was published in 1908 by 3 initiates, an anonymous authorship that has led to endless speculation and criticism. The skeptical view, scholars argue the Kybalion is not ancient Egyptian wisdom, but a new thought creation by William Walker Atkinson, mixing Hermetic concepts with turn-of-the-century American metaphysics. They point out, published during the New Thought movement's peak, language and concepts reflect early 20th century thinking, no direct Egyptian source documents cited, more accessible than authentic Hermetic texts like the Corpus Hermeticum. And they're right. The Kybalion as we have it is a modern text. But here's what matters. 1. The principles are ancient. Even critics acknowledge the 7 principles have clear roots in the Corpus Hermeticum, 1st to 3rd century CE, ancient Egyptian philosophy, 3000 BCE onward, Greek Hermeticism, 300 BCE to 300 CE, medieval alchemy, and Hermetic traditions. The Kybalion didn't invent these ideas. It systematized and clarified them for modern readers. 2. Oral tradition is valid. The book claims to preserve oral tradition, knowledge passed teacher to student for centuries, finally written down. This is how esoteric wisdom has always transmitted. The Druids kept their teachings oral for 2,000 years. Buddhist and Hindu wisdom existed orally before being written down. The lack of ancient written source doesn't disprove the idea's antiquity. 3. The science confirms the principles. Here's the ultimate test. Do the principles accurately describe reality? If modern physics keeps validating what the Kybalion teaches, does it matter whether it was written in 300 CE or 1908? Truth is truth, regardless of the messenger. Our approach. For this investigation, we're treating the Kybalion as what it claims to be, a synthesis of ancient Hermetic principles presented in accessible modern language. We'll compare each principle to corresponding scientific discoveries and let you judge whether the parallels are meaningful. Ready? Let's begin with the most radical principle.
The all is mind. The universe is mental. The Kybalion teaches that consciousness is not produced by matter. Instead, matter is produced by consciousness. Physical reality is a mental creation of the universal mind, and individual minds are localized portions of that universal consciousness. Bold claim, one that materialist science rejected for centuries, until quantum mechanics forced a reckoning. The double slit experiment, 1927, updated continuously. When electrons are fired through two slits, unobserved, they behave as waves, creating interference patterns. Observed, they behave as particles, creating two distinct impact zones. The act of measurement collapses the wave function. Consciousness affects physical reality. Quantum mechanics shows particles exist in superposition, multiple states simultaneously, until observed. Observation collapses superposition into definite state. But what counts as observation? Is it physical interaction with measurement device? Is it conscious awareness by human observer? Or information becoming available to any consciousness? After 100 years, physics still hasn't resolved this. But the Hermetic principle provides an elegant answer. Consciousness is fundamental. Matter is derivative. Of course, consciousness affects observation. Consciousness is what creates the observed reality in the first place. Niels Bohr, primary architect of quantum theory, concluded there is no quantum world. There is only an abstract quantum description. It is wrong to think that the task of physics is to find out how nature is. Physics concerns what we can say about nature. In other words, reality doesn't exist independently of observation. This is mentalism, 5,000 years later, in physics papers. Wolfgang Pauli, Nobel Prize, 1945. Collected hundreds of alchemical texts, collaborated with Carl Jung on synchronicity and the relationship between psyche and matter. Believed physics was incomplete without addressing consciousness. David Bohm, Einstein's protege, developed implicate order theory. The universe is fundamentally a unified field of consciousness. Explicitly stated his theories drew from ancient mystical traditions. He wrote, "In some sense, man is a microcosm of the universe. Therefore, what man is a clue to the universe." Erwin Schrödinger, Nobel Prize, 1933, studied Vedantic philosophy intensely, wrote What is Life? Exploring Consciousness and Matter, concluded individual consciousness is not separate from universal consciousness. Why did they turn to mysticism? Because when you encounter quantum weirdness, particles in two places, entanglement across space, wave function collapse from observation, you're forced to confront the role of consciousness in reality. And the mystics had already explored that territory for millennia. Consciousness studies, Global Consciousness Project, Princeton. Statistical anomalies in random number generators during major global events suggest consciousness has field effects. Placebo effect. Belief, consciousness, produces measurable physiological changes. Quantum biology. Evidence that quantum processes occur in the brain, possibly explaining consciousness itself. The paradigm shift. Materialist science assumed matter to brain to consciousness. Quantum physics suggests consciousness to observation to matter. The Kybalion taught the second model 5,000 years ago.
The Hermetic claim, nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Everything is energy in motion. Differences between matter, energy, mind, and spirit are differences in vibrational frequency. The quantum validation. String theory, 1970s to present. The fundamental constituents of reality are not particles, but vibrating strings of energy. Different vibrations create different particles. The universe is literally made of vibration. Electromagnetic spectrum, all light, radio, microwave, infrared, visible, ultraviolet, X-ray, gamma, is the same phenomenon vibrating at different frequencies. Solid matter, atoms are 99.99999% empty space, with electrons vibrating around nuclei. Quantum field theory. The universe is fundamentally composed of fields. Particles are excitations, vibrations, in these fields. The Kybalion was right. Everything vibrates. Reality is frequency. The Hermetic claim. As above, so below. As below, so above. The same patterns repeat at all scales. Microcosm mirrors macrocosm. The scientific validation. Fractal geometry. Mandelbrot, 1970s to present. Nature produces self-similar patterns at every scale. Fern leaf structure equals tree branching equals river branching equals blood vessel branching equals neural network branching. One algorithm, infinite scales. Holographic principle. Gerard et Hooft, Leonard Susskind, 1990s. Information about a volume of space can be encoded on a lower dimensional boundary. Each part contains information about the whole. The whole universe might be a hologram. David Bohm's implicate order. He proposed reality has two orders. Explicate, the unfolded, manifest, separate appearing world, and implicate, the enfolded, unified field containing all information. Each part of the explicate order contains the entire implicate order, just as each cell in your body contains your complete DNA. This is as above, so below in physics language. Structural examples. Atom structure resembles solar system structure. Spiral of Nautilus shell equals spiral of galaxy. Golden ratio in flowers, human body, galaxy arms, DNA helix. The same physical laws operate at quantum and cosmic scales. The principle of correspondence is observed scientific fact. The Hermetic claim. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Apparent opposites are actually the same thing at different degrees. Hot, cold are both temperature. Light, dark are both electromagnetic radiation. The quantum parallel. Wave-particle duality. Light and matter are neither wave nor particle, but both, depending on how you observe them. Niels Bohr called this complementarity. Seemingly contradictory properties are both true. revealing different aspects of a unified reality. This is the principle of polarity expressed in quantum physics. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Position and momentum, energy and time. Measuring one precisely makes the other uncertain. Not because of measurement limitations, but because these are complementary aspects of reality, like hot and cold are complementary aspects of temperature. Matter and antimatter. Every particle has an antiparticle. They're identical but opposite in charge. When they meet, they annihilate into pure energy. Opposites are the same thing with reversed polarity. The Hermetic claim. Everything flows, out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. Reality operates in cycles. Everything swings like a pendulum from one pole to the other. The scientific observation. Wave mechanics. All of quantum physics describes reality in terms of waves, oscillations, vibrations, cycles. Biological rhythms. Circadian rhythms, menstrual cycles, seasonal cycles, sleep-wake cycles. Life is rhythmic. Cosmological cycles. Stars are born and die. Galaxies form and disperse. The universe itself may be cyclical. Big Bang to expansion, to contraction, to crunch, to new Big Bang. Economic cycles, historical cycles, personal cycles. The principle of rhythm operates at every scale, from quantum to cosmic to human.
The Hermetic claim. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Nothing happens by chance. Everything operates according to law. Most people are effects. Awakened individuals become causes. The quantum complexity. Determinism versus quantum probability. Classical physics was deterministic. No initial conditions predict future exactly. Quantum mechanics introduced probability. We can only predict likelihood of outcomes. But here's the key. Quantum randomness is not lawless. It follows precise statistical laws, Schrödinger equation. The wave function evolves deterministically. Only the collapse is probabilistic. And increasingly, physicists question whether even collapse is truly random or just appears random due to hidden variables we can't access. Bell's theorem and quantum entanglement. Particles remain connected across any distance. Measuring one instantly affects the other. This suggests a deeper causal connection than local interactions. Exactly what Hermetic philosophy predicted with everything is connected. The measurement problem again. If consciousness causes wave function collapse, then consciousness is the primary cause, and physical reality is the effect. This is the Hermetic understanding. Operate from consciousness-level causation to transcend being an effect of physical circumstances. The Hermetic claim. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Creation requires both. Masculine, projective, focused, directed. Feminine, receptive, gestative, nurturing. The physics parallel. Positive and negative charges. Electrons, negative. Protons, positive. All matter contains both. Imbalance creates attraction and bonding. Forces, push and pull. Physics describes 4 fundamental forces. All involve attraction, feminine, magnetic, and repulsion, masculine, projective. Entropy and negentropy. Entropy, dispersion, chaos, dissolution, receptive, feminine. Negentropy, organization, order, formation, directive, masculine. both necessary for complex systems to evolve. Information and energy. Energy, active, doing, masculine. Information, pattern, organizing, feminine. Neither sufficient alone. Creation requires both. Unified field theory. Physics searches for the single field underlying all forces, the union of all dualities. Hermetic philosophy calls this the all, the union of masculine and feminine, the source of all creation.
Let's review what we've discovered. Hermetic principle, quantum/scientific parallel. Mentalism, observer effect, measurement problem. Correspondence, fractal geometry, holographic principle. Vibration, string theory, wave mechanics, quantum fields. Polarity, wave-particle duality, complementarity. Rhythm, wave mechanics, cyclical systems. Cause and effect, quantum entanglement, consciousness causation. Gender, positive and negative charges, complementary forces. These aren't loose metaphorical connections. These are precise parallels between ancient philosophical principles and modern scientific discoveries. 1. Coincidence. The ancients got lucky, describing reality accurately through pure speculation. Likelihood? Extremely low. Getting this many complex principles correct by chance is statistically improbable. 2. Intuition and inner knowledge. Through meditative practices and altered states, ancient mystics accessed direct knowledge of reality's structure. Likelihood? Increasingly plausible. If consciousness is fundamental, as quantum physics suggests, then looking inward to understand reality makes sense. 3. Lost advanced civilization. The Hermetic principles come from a more advanced pre-flood civilization that already understood these physics principles. Likelihood? Unprovable but intriguing. Would explain sudden appearance of advanced knowledge in ancient civilizations. Despite these parallels, mainstream science largely ignores or dismisses Hermetic philosophy. Why? 1. Historical materialism. Science built its success on assuming consciousness is epiphenomenal, produced by matter. Accepting consciousness as fundamental threatens the foundation. 2. Reputation risk. Scientists who publicly explore mysticism risk career damage. Pauli, Bohm, Schrödinger did it anyway, but many stay silent. 3. Incomplete language. Hermetic philosophy uses different vocabulary than physics. Translation is difficult, and misunderstandings are easy. 4. Cultural bias. Western science inherited Christianity's rejection of ancient pagan wisdom. Institutional prejudice against ancient Egyptian and Greek mysticism persists. But the paradigm is shifting. Younger physicists are more open. Consciousness studies are gaining legitimacy. The convergence is accelerating. For seekers, your spiritual practices are not delusion. The principles you're applying, visualization, energy work, and mental transmutation, have basis in physics. For skeptics, ancient wisdom deserves serious consideration. Dismissing it as primitive superstition is intellectually lazy. For scientists, exploring consciousness and metaphysics isn't abandoning science, it's completing it. For humanity, we're approaching a synthesis, ancient wisdom integrated with modern science, producing a more complete understanding of reality. This is the resurrection the Hermetic texts predicted. Knowledge hidden during ages of materialism, returning when humanity is ready to receive it.
The Kybalion's 7 principles have been validated by the most rigorous scientific discipline humans have ever developed. Not perfectly, not completely, but substantially and meaningfully.
The universe operates according to principles the ancients understood. Consciousness is fundamental. Reality is mental. Everything vibrates. Patterns repeat at all scales. Opposites are unified. Cycles govern change. Masculine and feminine create together. These aren't religious beliefs requiring faith. These are observable features of reality, described by both ancient philosophy and modern physics. What does this tell us? That truth is consistent, whether discovered through meditation or mathematics, through mystical vision or particle accelerators. Truth converges. That ancient wisdom is valid. Our ancestors weren't primitive. They accessed genuine knowledge through methods different from, but complementary to, modern science. That consciousness matters. If mentalism is true, if the observer effect is real, if consciousness shapes reality, then your awareness, your thoughts, your practices actually matter in ways materialist science denied. That we're remembering. This convergence isn't coincidence. It's the collective human species recovering knowledge we once had, lost, and are now ready to reclaim. The Hermetic masters taught, the lips of wisdom are closed, except to the ears of understanding. For centuries, humanity's ears were closed. We weren't ready to hear that consciousness creates reality, that ancient wisdom holds truth, that science and spirituality describe the same reality from different angles. Now, the ears are opening. Quantum physicists sound like mystics. Mystics sound like physicists. The ancient and modern are converging. Welcome to the paradigm shift. The Kybalion was just the beginning. The real journey is integrating this knowledge, living as if consciousness matters, as if you're a creator rather than a victim, as if ancient wisdom and modern science both reveal the same magnificent truth. You are consciousness experiencing itself, and consciousness is what shapes reality. The universe is mental. Your mind participates in its creation. Use it wisely. This is knowledge of the all, where ancient wisdom meets modern truth.